Alright guys, so we just got out of court for the morning at least. Still have another half a day to go. So let's see what's happening out here. We're going to talk about a few updates with what developed today in court, but I want to see what's happening outside. We have a few interviews going on here. We have quite a bit of media. Okay. And we also have a lot of media across the street. Someone fell ill, so they're trying to take care of that. Also, you guys can see there's a heavy media presence here as well. So we're in New York City at 100 Center Place, dealing with the court case of Luigi Mangione. They keep pronouncing his name in two different ways, Luigi Mangione and Luigi Mangione. So when he was arrested by the police, he said his name was Luigi Mangione. But either way, you know who we're talking about. So at any rate, we're going to get a little idea to see what's happening here at the courthouse. This morning wasn't too bad. They had an officer from Pennsylvania. His name is Officer Fox. And so he's basically had his direct examination today with the prosecutors, and basically that's very friendly to him because he's there to represent the prosecution at any rate. But right now, Karen Agnifilo is doing his cross-examination, and it's quite extensive because she's asking those hard questions. Most of the officers, you could tell they're used to being in an environment where they're in control and also where they're being praised. So to have to stand or sit in front of Karen Agnifilo or Mark Agnifilo, any of the attorneys, it's a different process because these attorneys are not holding back at all in the cross-examination process. So this is the courthouse here. Give you a good idea of the environment. So this particular officer, again, under cross-examination, Karen Agnifilo revealed that Fox basically shouldn't have, he had no real reason to come over. He's the K9 officer. He has a dog named Blue. So that's his partner. He has a dog. And so he came over with the dog. Basically, he heard about it over the radio. And that's what prompted him to come over himself. He says that he's one of the few officers that has the right to go to basically free float. That's what he said. He gets the free float because the police department in Altoona, Pennsylvania is broken down into various zones. So since he has a dog, he can pretty much go, he's free to go to assist wherever he's needed or perhaps wherever he wants to patrol. So he went over to the McDonald's where they had Luigi Mangione that day. And he basically turned on his camera. Once he got there, we actually get a chance to see. I didn't know before this case that basically when the officer turns on their camera, the voice part does not engage until 1 minute. And so for each of the officers, in fact, the defense in this case, they show how the officers basically try to withhold information by not turning on their camera at the right times in some cases. So like with the case of Wasser, who she was there yesterday, she finished her not interrogation, or cross-examination. It was like an interrogation because Karen Agnifilo did not hold back any punches with her. So that was exciting to see her basically get caught up in her own web. So this case is going to be a challenge because even though Luigi Mangione is going to be on trial for the unalivement of Brian Thompson, the big issue here is that the officers are not always truthful. Now, they did testify that when they go to school in Indiana, the officers that they're taught that they can lie to citizens. They're taught that they could create a ruse. They could do whatever they want to do basically to get you to admit to your wrongdoing. But the problem is when the defense catch them in lies on the stand, that's a different zone. So I think that's going to be a tough part of this case for the prosecution because I think the officers are going to have a hard time keeping their stories together, especially with 13 officers showing up for one arrest. They've all seemed to fall apart when they were asked, like, why are you there? You're just there for the fact that this is a big, high profile case. And so far, Karen Agnifilo has done a good job at showing, this is why they're there. Luigi Mangione. Yep. So, sorry about that. So, I think that's going to be the issue. But at any rate, one of the major reasons we're here is because they're trying to suppress the gun. They're trying to suppress the items found in his book bag. And they're trying to say that the police officers did not have a warrant. They did not have a. Let me make sure you guys can hear me okay. All right. Okay, so it seems that everybody's just saying hello. Okay. It says they always lie during questioning of interrogation. It's a double standard. If you lie, you're held accountable. Exactly. Exactly. So, here's the problem in this case. They're trying to suppress the gun, the suppressor, because they're saying that number one, they didn't read him his Mirandize him or read him his rights in time. There's going to be a loud noise. I'm going to stop for 1 minute when it comes close, guys. So just hold tight. There's always a fire truck around here. Okay, I guess it's going another way. So they waited over 20 minutes to Mirandize him. That's an issue. It seemed like there was no clear control because you had 13 officers standing in front of Luigi. They keep saying under oath, the officers said, well, he could have left. But yeah, like Karen Agnifilo says, immediately when you guys arrive, you're standing right in front of him. Two officers, the first two officers are standing in front of him while he's sitting at the table. Within 20 minutes, you have another 10 officers there standing in front of Luigi. But yet you're trying to say he couldn't leave. There's no way he could have left, right? Also, they came up with this idea that he may have had a bomb, and so that's the reason they're trying to say that they searched his possessions without having a warrant. And basically, they said they had another case of this guy named Moser, or is it Hoser? Let's see. I think it was Hoser, yeah. So there's a case of a guy named Hoser. It was a drug deal. They had two pipe bombs, and they arrested the individuals, and they took the bombs into the jail, to the precinct in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and they were worried that basically this could happen again. And they said because they saw the video of the unalignment of Brian Thompson. That's the reason why they had this probable cause, and they were concerned about a bomb. But again, the defense, I feel like the defense is winning so far because they're showing, like, you started searching his bags before Luigi made a statement that made you think he could have potentially had a bomb. I guess they asked him about the bag, and the officer says, well, when we asked him about the bag, he looked like he was nervous. But I'm telling you, Karen Agnifilo, she's the best at it. She's one of the best I've seen since I've been attending court cases. And she pointed out, and they have the body cam, and they took Wasser. She showed Wasser that, oh, you started putting on the gloves. Why did you put on the gloves? Oh, I was going to check his possessions. Oh, so you had planned on checking his possessions anyway. So the defense is really good. You know what I find, to just show you the magnitude of the attorney, Karen Agnifilo, because she has to sit there and they have the direct examination, which is in favor of the officers, right? So Karen Agnifilo has to basically listen and then put her questions together, figure out her angle, and then cross-examine these individuals in real time. And she's like doing an excellent job. Believe me when I tell you, she's terrific at this. And Mark Agnifilo is good too. Don't get me wrong. And believe it or not, I sat through Diddy's case 9 weeks in the main courtroom. I saw Mark. He was the main attorney. But his wife she is really good as an attorney. I could tell she has everybody. Even when the officers come in, you can tell they already know they're going to be in for a hard fight. The word must be on the street, because it's hard for people to sit down and answer questions, especially when people have the video taped. We have all the body cam, and basically every day I've been in court since this hearing has started, we're watching, let's say we're in court 8 to 9 hours, we're watching video, 7 of those hours, and doing comparisons. So it's a lot to take in, but I'm very intrigued by this case. I do think he's going to have trouble, because they do show the video of Brian Thompson obviously being unalive. The video incriminating Luigi the most is the video at the hostel where he was staying, and he went to the counter. They said he was flirting with a female, and he pulled his mask down. He showed his face, and I think that's the picture that they have of him that's clear. One thing that I noticed about all of the officers in this case, they all said that they learned about Luigi. They saw his pictures, video on Fox News. They didn't see it really anywhere else. The officer today, his name is Fox, ironically. He said that he felt that the other stations or networks, Legacy News, were supporting Luigi. So I didn't capture that when it happened. I didn't see that part. But apparently, that's the way they feel, that Fox was the one that was really trying to get Luigi captured, which ultimately it worked, because it was actually a female working at McDonald's that called in and described Luigi. He was sitting there by the bathroom. I'm not sure how she picked up on him, if she saw him herself, but just in seeing his eyes and his eyebrows, I think she came to the conclusion that they could have had the New York shooter. So that's how the wheels started turning, and that call came into the dispatch. Now, what's ironic to me is that the officer yesterday, the female officer that Karen Agnifilo really put the screws to her, she used to work with the female that actually called in, the first call that came in on Luigi, and she's actually involved in the interviewing of that person. So I would have thought they would have kept it neutral and maybe had somebody else question the girl, because I know how the defense is going to work. And when this thing goes to trial, they're going to try to probably call into question the relationship between the officer, the only female officer, and her relationship to the individual that discovered Luigi, called it in. They used to work at a department store together many years ago. So I don't know if she said it was like 20 years ago. I don't. There's so many numbers, so much going on. So we're going to keep it moving, guys. I'm going to give you guys just a little rundown on what's happening. But so far, basically what's happening here in court with this Luigi trial is that there's 13 officers, and then you also have the DA's office, and they're basically bringing in all the officers and showing different angles of the body cam, and each officer has to answer questions about their body cam and others in which they are on their body cam as well. So every day we're basically repeatedly watching the same footage, so it's almost like I know what's coming next, but it's good to see the actual cross-examination. This is all of the legacy media. You guys will recognize her. I've been sitting beside her. So this is New York. This is a typical environment when there's a major trial here. And whoever this is, they actually have heat. So that works out good, right? So this just gives you an idea. This is not the same courthouse that we had for Sean Diddy Combs. This is the one that I came to for Donald Trump. This is a courthouse. Actually, it seemed like the same courtroom from what I can remember, where Donald Trump received his 34 felonies. So this is where it all happened at Donald Trump as well. But at any rate, we go back in at 2:15. Again, as I mentioned, Officer Fox is being cross-examined today. And also he had his direct examination. He should be finished today. Mark Agnifilo on Friday said that he wanted to be the person to interview him or cross-examine him, but Mark Agnifilo had another court appointment. So he could not be here to cross-examine Fox as much as he wanted to. It looks like we'll go on for another probably almost 2 weeks with this. The crowd, the Luigi crowd, has dwindled down to roughly maybe 7 or 8, from maybe close to between, I'd say, 60 to 90. So I'm pretty sure we'll see people coming back, but I don't think anybody expected for this to go on as long as it has. But this is the streets of New York. I'm about to go and get something to eat here locally, but I wanted to come out and give you an idea of how this all happens, give you a little backdrop on this whole court environment here in New York City. We also have the case of the NBA players. I'll be covering that as well. There's a court date coming up. As you know, Chauncey is caught up in that from the NBA standpoint. The former coach, or maybe he's still in, I'm not sure. But I will be covering that as well. Let's see, is there any comments? Sling Blade says deportation is working finally. Okay, all right. They're definitely, we do have the National Guard here. If you notice the video, or when I'm commuting down, the National Guard is heavy, especially in the subway system, and also at Grand Central Station. There's a lot of National Guard, heavy police presence, so perhaps the people feel safer. Remember the deal that happened between Trump and Eric Adams? I'm pretty sure that I knew before he left office we would probably see some different things happening in New York, and definitely that's probably a reason why we have the National Guard in New York, whereas in a lot of places the mayors were pushing back on the National Guard coming into their cities. So at any rate, that's pretty much it. For the rest of the day, we have the continuation of the cross-examination of Officer Fox, who basically he's a K-9 representative at the police office, and he was one of the individuals that was pushing for the examination of Luigi Mangione's book bag, because they kind of felt like, oh, there could have been a bomb in there, but the defense showed that basically it seemed like that was a ruse. In fact, it took them a while. They never tried to clear the lobby at McDonald's or the dining area. They let people go walk by using the bathroom. So if you thought there was a bomb there, you didn't. And yesterday she did a good job with Wasser because she was like, "Did you call the bomb unit?" No. Did you tell McDonald's to clear the building? No. So I'm telling you, a good defense. I'm getting a chance to see defense at the highest level. I thought Diddy had a pretty good defense, but I'm telling you, Karen Ignifilo she's at a high level with her reasoning and the way she cross-examines and put her arguments together. And she doesn't flub, she's right on point with everything, which is rare. Mark is different. Mark comes across and I think that's just how he tries to build his persona, but his wife, Karen Ignifilo, she's just straight to business and she don't pull any punches. And I'm glad that I have a chance to witness such good performance, at a high level. Especially, I think in this case, he raised over 1.4 million, and they're expecting that number to rise dramatically when the trial starts. So there you have it, folks. Thank you guys for tuning in. I don't see any questions, so I'm gonna check out at this point. And if anything else happens, I'll definitely be reporting on it. But this is just a hearing. The actual trial will be in January, starting on the 9th. All of this will be full with different legacy news. And believe me, in New York here, January to February, it's going to be a lot colder. So this is just a warm-up for what's going to happen. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back on tonight to talk about this case and some other hot topics. And shout out to all of the moderators that I see here. Shout out to you, Eric and Stella, and you see Sharon is in the building too. I just want to say hello to you guys. Thank you for the support. Appreciate it tremendously. And I'm going to grab something to eat before we go back into court. Thank you guys.